Well, the parliament session has begun and it's bound to be a stormy one because it's not just a monsoon session, but because the opposition has plenty on its plate to attack the government on. Whether it's the farm laws, rising prices, fuel price hike, or even something like what they call the COVID mismanagement, a faulty vaccination policy. But more than that, there's going to be one visitor in the corridors of parliament who can actually create a storm. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee is travelling through the state, through the city, where she's going to try and reach out to the opposition leaders. I'm Pallavi Ghosh, and my one take in this week asks this very question: can Prashant Kishor be that glue in 2024 to set up a front against the BJP? See, the track record of Prashant Kishor so far has been pretty good, barring Uttar Pradesh, where somehow he was not able to put up a strong front against the BJP. The UP ke ladke narrative did not click at all, and there has been much heartburn. But in politics, grudges, grievances and sometimes friendships also don't last long. So it came as a huge surprise and shock when Prashant Kishor forgot his almost 5 years of bitterness with Rahul Gandhi, enters his residence, meets not just one but 3 Gandhi family members. To top it all, Sonia Gandhi, who is normally very reticent about and choosy about who she meets, ends up meeting Prashant Kishor. What they discussed has been a matter of much conjecture. Clarifications came in from Sharad Pawar and from the NCP that he is not seeing for himself the role of a president whenever the next presidential elections takes place. Again, clarifications got nothing to do with Punjab elections or UP or Uttarakhand elections. What seems to be very clear is that Prashant Kishor was carrying a message from somewhere, and that message could have been from Mamata Banerjee, that this time round there has to be a better planning, concerted effort to take on the BJP. Yes, 2024 is still a long way ahead. But if there's been one mistake which the opposition parties have been making one after another, is the fact that they have been laid back. They only try and strike in the last mile while the BJP does its preparations much earlier. So I think that is one lesson which has been learned, that you have to set up a drawing board and go inch by inch, piece by piece. How does it begin? It begins by actually getting the opposition leaders together. Now, some opposition parties are living in fear. They fear that what if we take on the BJP? Will that land us up into trouble? How can we trust the other opposition leader? And also the multiple egos and ambitions. For example, if Jagan Mohan Reddy wants to appeal to his vote bank in his state, how can he be projecting himself as someone who accepts the leadership of, say, an A, B and C, or say that of someone from the Congress, or say that of Mamata Banerjee? Or if Sharad Pawar accepts the leadership or a lead taken by Mamata Banerjee, what does it do to his stature within the NCP? That has been really a reason why the opposition has not been able to come together. I know many of you will start drawing examples to UPA. How did UPA get formed? That is because there was one big person, Sonia Gandhi. She had Pawar by her side, which really helped her to reach out to other players, and others did not at that point of time. It was not so much of a deeply divided, and regional satraps had not yet become that powerful as they have now. Now all eyes really on Mamata Banerjee and also on Prashant Kishor. Now Mamata Banerjee has done a very shrewd thing. What she's done is she's elevated Abhishek Banerjee, despite the fact that during elections many in her own party actually attacked her because they started questioning in private that why is Abhishek Banerjee being given so much of importance. Those who quit the TMC use that as a reason or as an excuse for leaving the TMC and joining the BJP. Mukul Roy interestingly being one of them, but he's come back and rest is history. When we talk about Mamata Banerjee playing an important role for 2024, how can the name of Prashant Kishor be left behind? Now, on record, PK as he's called has said he's now no longer going to do any political strategy for any elections. I think after this win in Tamil Nadu and in West Bengal, he's moved beyond state elections. Perhaps he's looking for a bigger role for himself. And the biggest win for them all, for him, would be if he's able to actually set up a winning front against the BJP in 2024. What all does he need to do? He needs to first drill sense into the opposition parties that please forget your individual ambitions and egos. You have to keep it on the side. We now have to start work. You need to start winning elections. Now the biggest hurdle over here is a grand old party, which is a Congress party. That perhaps could explain why PK was huddled in a meeting for over 3 hours with the three Gandhis. What sources told me is that Sonia Gandhi actually asked this question, that why is it that the Congress party is not being able to deliver even in states where they have been in power earlier or where they have a good organizational structure. What is it that is going wrong? True to PK's style, he mentioned the fact that your Congress has become top heavy. It has to rise from below. The district level, the block level has to be empowered. And therefore, in a sense, he was echoing the thoughts of many of the members of G23 that elections need to be held. These are the people who need to be emboldened. You need to start having a kind of a cadre system where the workers are enthused. They have a reason to live in hope and therefore work for the organization. One of the first things which has happened after that was, for example, the appointment of Navjot Singh Sidhu as the PCC chief of Punjab. It was a completely breakaway from the norm. Here was a veteran Congress leader, Captain Amrinder Singh, who's no pushover, flexing his muscles till the last, making it very clear that I will not sit with Sidhu and work with him till I get a public apology, and also making it very clear to the top leadership of the Gandhis that I am no pushover, I have a mind of my own. But despite all that orchestrations where the MPs and some of the MLAs were meeting, trying to pass a resolution, telling Sonia Gandhi to rethink, she went ahead and appointed Navjot Singh Sidhu. Now, emboldened by this, the Congress party perhaps will be quicker in taking decisions, and that's where PK can make a move or a change in the Congress's style of working. For example, that's what he did with Mamata Banerjee. There were specific instructions to her that please remain silent, don't have to speak out on every controversial issues. Over there also, there were a large number of block level and district level appointments which were taking place, and there Prashant Kishor played a very important role. This is possibly step one of what Prashant Kishor envisages for 2024, a Congress with fire in the belly, with an urge to win elections. See, there are important state elections coming up. Punjab, Uttarakhand, UP. Over there, it's important for the Congress party to win at least in 1 or 2 states to show that it's in the reckoning. A Congress which is left out in the race cannot help a front work, because even the most bitter critics of Congress party in the opposition spectrum accept the fact that there are many regions, many states and constituency and states where it's a one-on-one fight between the BJP and the Congress. And the Congress has a traditional loyal vote bank, and therefore the Congress matters. We'll have to take them along. And if the Congress party doesn't pull up its stocks, it's going to pull down the entire front, which is why this becomes very important and PK comes to play very important roles. Multiple egos, multiple ambitions, and interestingly, PK has worked with many of them. I mean, he's worked with Jagan Mohan Reddy for that matter, Stalin, Mamata Banerjee, and he's been meeting Sharad Pawar. So who knows, he's actually going to try and get all these ambitions together to reach out that one big ambition to take on the Prime Minister in 2024. It's still a long way ahead. I'm getting those reactions for the social media timeline where many of them are dismissing of the efforts of Prashant Kishor. But someone who's been a political reporter, who's observed politics, one thing that I have learnt is never say never. Never think that someone is completely out of the game or a zone. Never give up on any politician. No politician, no political strategist completely give it up. Not down in the downs completely. If they have a desire to win, they usually bounce back. And Prashant Kishor hopes to kindle that feeling within the Congress party, and therefore it's very important to follow Prashant Kishor wherever he goes, because who knows, maybe doors and windows are being opened to the big front that we are talking about in 2024. Possibly he can end up becoming that glue to bring these warring differences and different political parties together to achieve that one big hope, which Sonia Gandhi actually had when UPA first came to power in 2004. Do give in all your reactions. I know many of you are disagreeing with me, but is it really possible that Prashant Kishor can do it in 2024, and will he do it? Do give in your reactions. We are going to be back with much more next week once again on One Take. Thank you so much for watching.